San Clemente is an amazing city to live in with great weather, great beaches, and an overall awesome sense of community. It also makes a cool spot to own an investment property or a second home. But there are a few things you're going to want to know before pulling the trigger on a property. Let's jump in. 1. Rental restrictions. If you're planning on using this property as a rental, which a lot of my clients are, we really need to talk about the rental restrictions in town. For example, most of San Clemente has a moratorium, meaning you can't do vacation rental, better known as nightly rental. There are specific areas in town, mapped out zones that I could share with you where it is allowable to do a nightly rental. So you can actually call the city and apply for a short-term lodging unit permit, and that's really, really important. So rule of thumb in San Clemente is if you're gonna try and do vacation rental, you need to be within the designated zones on the map. And if you're not within those zones, then you're allowed to do 1 rental per 30-day period. 2, Mello-Roos and HOA. So what is Mello-Roos? You can check out one of my videos describing it in length, but it's basically an extra property tax. And we all know what HOA dues are, or homeowners associations. Most of San Clemente has homeowners associations attached to it. There are actually more places that do than don't. In some instances, that amount is pretty low, like $100 a month. But there are certain communities where you get up into the $200 and $300 per month for the HOA dues. So why is that important? Because if this is an investment property or a second home and you're not using it all the time, that starts to add up when you're paying for this property. It increases the monthly nut, and that has to make sense. So let's make sure and go over which communities have HOAs and which communities like Talega or Sea Summit that still have Mello-Roos in place. 3, property management. If you're gonna have a rental property, good property management is essential. This property manager is the person you're gonna work with through repairs, through tenant requests. When you release the property, you're either gonna use me or you might use your property manager. But this person, this manager can make or break this investment property, and the relationship with them is hugely important. So if you're looking for a good reference, reach out to me. I have a few property managers that I know and trust that I can recommend to you. 4, tax benefits and disadvantages. So depending on if you treat this home as an actual rental property or as a second home is going to determine some tax benefits and or disadvantages. There are 2 ways for your home to qualify for the mortgage interest deduction on your taxes. 1, if your home is not rented out at any time throughout the year, or if you rent it out for part of the year, you must also use it as a home during the year for it to qualify. Specifically, you must use the home for more than 14 days or more than 10% of the number of days during the year that the home is rented at fair market rental value, whichever is longer. If you don't use the home long enough, it's going to be considered rental property and not a second home, and that's going to disqualify you from the mortgage interest deduction. And a bonus tip for you all, another thing to keep in mind, if you're going to be getting a loan on this property, a lot of times the interest rate might be different if this is a second home or an investment property. So it's really, really important that we powwow and talk to your lender and see, hey, how is this property when I purchase it going to affect the interest rate based on, current rates in today's market? So if you have any questions on this, or if you've been thinking about buying a second home or an investment property in San Clemente, please reach out to me. I'd love to be a resource for you. Thanks so much and take care.